Hello, my name is Andrew Thate. I'm the Division Director at Mines and Money. And association with Red Cloud, we've got an interview today with Dev Randhawa, who's the Chairman and CEO of Fission 3.0. Delighted to have you with us, Dev.
Well, thanks for having me on, Andrew. You're a great organization, and I've enjoyed all the great things you guys done. I've attended many of the conferences, so thanks for having me on.
Well, we're always grateful for your support. Before we ask a little bit about your company, I'd just like to go and take a step back. What are the fundamentals for uranium now? They seem to be like stronger than ever.
Oh, absolutely. I think that in the past, I've been doing this 1996, so I've seen lots of change and etc. The difference I see in this one is that there's a wake up that maybe that the sun and the wind can't provide baseload power on the scales that we needed. That has been a wake-up call for the left wing. They should be punished, in my view, for lying to the public for so long, in my view. I think if a business person did some of the stuff the politicians have said, we'd be in jail. Because they've told people it's okay to move into the house of wind and sun and glory and unicorns. What they forgot is the house wasn't ready. There's no walls, nothing. Whereas, so I think absolutely we have to transition to there. But I think politicians need to stop lying to people. I mean, I think all of Germany would be flabbergasted to find out today that 50% of their energy is now coming from coal, which is arguably the dirtiest form. The average coal has got uranium going in it. Actually, uranium, it goes up. And people are worried about waste in the ground, 2 miles deep. This stuff is going up in the air. Just if you need to go to Beijing, I encourage anybody who wants to think that coal is a possible answer, go to Beijing, go in a hotel room, go 10 floors up and try to look across. Can't see it. So I think what we're seeing is the first time, countries that were about to move away from nuclear, Korea, Japan, are turning them back on and thinking about building them. Even the Germany of the United States, California, is not turning off the reactor in Diablo Canyon. They're saying, whoa, we need the energy. I mean, Newsom went on record and asked people not to charge their cars. Mm-hmm. Okay, think of that. Hybrids and electric cars only make up 8%. So if you can't even charge that, how are you going to do that? So I think it's more of a wake-up call, which we have in the nuclear industry for a long time. Look, nuclear has its issues, right? But it's the only form of energy with zero, and I mean zero carbon out there. There's no carbon footprint. And you can take the can of waste, put it in a Pepsi can, hide it underneath, it's gone. It's the only industry that takes care of its own waste. When they sell you gasoline, it goes up outside your car. They're not paying for that. There's no cost to the oil company. So I think it's been what we've been preaching for many years is finally coming true.
Yeah, but I'd also even go one step further than what you're saying, Dev, because to me it's a very obvious logical argument. If you believe in climate change, you have to believe in decarbonization. If you believe in decarbonization, you have to believe in nuclear. And to me, it's a very, very linear argument. But the other thing as well, and perhaps you can just elaborate a little bit more, is what some of the naysayers on the left say. They go, oh well, Dev, what about Chernobyl? What about the dangers of nuclear? But you guys have really done a great act at kind of like cleaning up with your modular 4 reactors.
Absolutely. First of all, I always point out that first of all, it was a tsunami no one ever thought of, and whoever built the reactor was silly to put it near the coast. I don't get that, but they did. But nobody talks about the fact that there was a gas plant literally down the road that killed more people than anything that happened in the nuclear plant. Nobody talks about the gas plants. Nobody talked about any of that stuff. I can go through every so-called disaster and tell you, 3 Mile Island, there's no joke. We always say more people died in the front seat of Ted Kennedy's car than 3 Mile Island because nobody died at 3 Mile Island. It was actually a controlled shutdown. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to Chernobyl, that wasn't a nuclear plant, had no standards. They were taking stuff in and out as they needed. And of course, I've been to nuclear plants. So I think Here's the bottom line. We need lots of energy. We have a fast growing India and China. We still there, and they got a massive middle class that want the crap we do. They want, the internet's told them, oh, there's TVs, it's growing. We need energy. And if we want clean energy, nuclear has to be part of it. And it is. I think the answer will be the small SMRs, and the UK is working hard on it, super hard. And the smaller ones, that's what we really need, the smaller ones to go to certain areas like the tar sands, clean energy instead of diesel. That's what we really, all the North Sea, they need nuclear. So I think I think the stats are showing, that, the countries that were sort of phasing it out are not phasing it out. In fact, they're going to build reactors. They realize, they're not meeting any of these so-called goals. And unfortunately, you're a linear thinker, and that's your problem. You think, okay, we believe that we're making the place worse with our industrialization. We need to decarbonize. Okay, therefore nuclear. The problem is politicians don't think like that. Politicians will say what they do to stay in power. That's our problem. It's this unbelievable, disgusting thirst by politicians to lie and cheat to maintain power. That's the problem. There's no climate change, is not the issue. Look at China. They have got a one group. Boom, they're building reactors. They're building more reactors than the rest of the world combined. So they get it and they're acting on it. So, anyways, we can go on forever, but I think the fact that last year the best evidence that you and I are on the right page, the Sprott Physical Uranium Fund, started by Peter Groskopf, who I think is the smartest guy in the industry. He set up a fund, and when it traded above premium, he would sell into it, take that money, and buy uranium. That sucked up all this overhead of 50, 60 million. So I believe that spot will rise again to a premium once the overall market settle down. When we stop increasing rates, okay, and people money goes into saving accounts and starts going back in the market, I believe spot will rise up. Thankfully for us, as we'll talk about our discovery, we don't need uranium prices to go up for us to continue to roll and keep increasing. We're up 400% since the discovery, but all the boats will rise as the spot price goes up.
Well, let's kind of talk a little bit about Fission Zero. Can you give us a top level overview?
Yeah, we're an exploration company, and 3 weeks ago the company has changed. We have made a massive quality discovery hole in the Athabasca. The Athabasca, in my view, is the best placed in the civilized world with rules and regulations. We have the highest grades. We have 60, 70 years of uranium of mining there. So it's the second in the world. So it's the best place for us to civilize. I can't get into Kazakhstan. It's a rigged game. And I can't destroy my environment. They can't. We can't do that. So we have to be very, so it's the best place, and I call the civilized world, to build a mine. And so we're in the Athabasca. We had a property called Patterson Lake North, called PLN. And 3 weeks ago, we made a discovery hole that had some widths to it. More importantly, what they call counts per second. In uranium exploration, unlike gold business, in the gold business, you do a drill hole, send it off to assays. You've got a lab of, could be a lag of 1 month to 3 months to get your assays back. Not uranium. If you have a high grade discovery, you just run a scintillometer across it when it comes in. You can look at it. It's dark, pitch blend. It smells like crap. And so it smells bad, very dark, and you run a scintillometer on it, and you get counts per second. Anything over 10%, 10,000 counts per second on the scintillometer is high grade. We hit 65,000, just give you an idea. And people in the past who've done it, even ourselves, it's gone from 20% to 70% uranium. Remember, the average grade is 2% up there. So it's a very, very significant discovery. Since the discovery, we put in 3 more holes that confirmed we're onto something pretty special. Now, the scintillometer results, so I think investors right now are waiting on the assays and see how that comes out. So we're just taking a break for Christmas. We'll start drilling soon. Not only is the property awesome, it's also our discovery, but also we're only 200 meters from surface, makes drilling and exploration, eventually mining someday cheaper. And lastly, it's on land, so we can drill all year long. If you're on a lake, very doable, but you lose a year and you lose a month at a time, because on a lake you have to build up the ice so the rig doesn't collapse through the ice. So that takes time, takes an extra month. But we can go on there first or second week of January, and start working right away. So that's, we're excited. And like I said, we're unique amongst uranium people that we don't need uranium prices to go up. If we put out assays, keep drilling it, this stock will continue to rise. Obviously, it'd be nice if uranium prices are going up. It
Makes
would give
life
it,
easier.
we might win behind us, but we're on to a discovery. So we're moving away from an exploration company to, within a year or so, being a development company, hopefully.
So that almost like leads into my next question. You know, after taking 3 days off for like Christmas or however long you're actually going to take, what are your plans for 2023?
Well, we'll probably give the staff a bit more than that, because we remember exploration companies. Suddenly, you're doubling all the holes and you're sending staff up. We're going to a bit more than that. Give them a couple of weeks. Otherwise, you might name the deposit the Gridge. Avoid any kind of our people are number one. You got to treat people right. People talk about it, but they don't do it. We do. I go to my way to make sure. I rather overpay good people, and as they rise to the top. Look, we've had to fire a lot of people over time. You trust people, doesn't always work, but these are good people. Nice Christmas break, and let's get out there. We've just raised $8 million in a bought deal, $7 million before. We have lots of money to drill 20 holes, and after those 20 holes, we'll know a lot about this discovery, how big the deposit is. The good news is, because Ray and the team have taken 2 discoveries before, one at Waterbury called the J Zone. It was a hole into a deposit. Okay, we sold that to Denison. We put 100 grand in, got 120 for 85 million out. Pretty good, because the Korean Electric Company from Korea, our utility, put up all the money. And then we took those assets other side of the basin, started a new company called Fission Uranium. Again, we made a discovery hole, and we've grown that to 130 million pounds of a market cap of 600-700 million. So our team has done it twice before, taken a discovery hole, turned into a deposit. And I'm very comfortable. I sleep really well at night, I can tell you, knowing that we've got the best team possible out there. Lots of people have found 1 deposit. I would say 10. I don't know who's found 2. And there's absolutely nobody that's found 3 massive discoveries like our team. So I sleep well at night that we've got a really good team. And we got the people to move this into a deposit someday.
You couldn't mention your team like a few times there. Can you just like elaborate on I guess some of the top sort of like key kind of like members in your like management team and what they kind of bring?
Well, it's on our website, all the names, but I would say the key to it is Ray. One of the best things I ever did, we got rid of some riffraff when we started Fission Energy and brought in Mr. Ross McElroy. Since then, he made a discovery within a year. 3 years later, another one. But his key, as much as it was me, I think his key was hiring Ray. Because geology, you remember uranium is much about geophysics, because you can't see under the ground. Okay. So you need geologists and scientists working together. And Ray, I think, is a genius. I think Ross is obviously a genius. So right now, Ray's leading the team. Ross McElroy's on our board, helping us. And we all know the direction we have to go. Small step outs to understand it, understand where these fluids came from that brought the uranium up. What's the source? You try to figure out the geometry, the attitude of this thing. Once they know that, then you'll see us make 50-meter step outs. Right now they're about 50 feet step outs. You got to remember, uranium is like very high grade gold nuggets. You got to be very careful not to step out too far, you'll miss it. So right now these are about, the last one was about 20 meters out, which is 60 feet. It's not a small amount, but just remember, a Wembley Stadium can hold 50 to 100 million pounds. You don't need kilometers. A few hundred meters, you got yourself a deposit.
Who are your main shareholders?
Sprott, has always been there for us. If you go back, I mean, because Peter Groskopf took us public. He was CEO of Sprott. He started Sprott. Rick was always been there, but right now it's out of New York. A couple of people, including my daughter, who works for Sprott, and they own a lot of shares. Different fund managers. I got enough friends. We own about 10%. And so you got to remember that the company was called Strathmore Minerals once. That sold out, started a new company, so everybody got a free dividend. So we have a lot of shares out at this point. We may change that. Right now, we've got 300 million shares out, trading around 25 cents. So it's about 75 million. Obviously, as we move forward, we may roll back. I don't know. But there's a lot of shares out and lots of liquidity, which people like. End of the day, it's going to go as high as only our results. And I like the chance of good results because we have good people.
So question for like an investor might ask listening into this interview, obviously great commodity in a great jurisdiction, great management team, but there's a number of other sort of like uranium mining companies there also in the Athabasca sort of like region. What can it make you to stand out from everyone else?
Well, first of all, there's some great leaders. Look, Tim's doing a great job at Cameco. Lee, I mean, what have they done at NextGen? Craig and the guys at ISO, and Ross obviously is moving along. There's some great people. I encourage investors to own a physical. Maybe it's Yellow Cake or it's Sput. I don't know. Depends. It might be the jurisdiction they like it. They should own a producer like Cameco, maybe a development. But you must have Fission 3.0 because those stocks, frankly, are only going to go up and down based on overall markets and uranium markets. That's not what we're dependent on. We're dependent on assays. And if you look at it, I think we got a good chance for good assays. So I think our stock can outperform them if our assays come in. We got 20 holes to figure this out. We're in a massive growth stage. If you ever look at discovery charts, okay, the biggest run you get is when you're hitting those holes, the assays are coming in. We haven't got there yet. So I believe the best is ahead of us. So I'm just saying, look at history. Look at what happened in NextGen when it ran from 80, 90 cents when the results were coming in, and boom, it went to $2 or $3. Look at whether it's fission uranium, ISO. It's when the first discovery happens, ding, 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 the assays come in, the stock runs up. Well, we haven't got there yet because we need our assays. So I would say, lack of a better word, you'd be crazy not to look at fission as part of your portfolio. It's the best discovery hole maybe in decades, at least based on the initial holes that have been drilled at ISO or NextGen or fission uranium. Compared to that, it's the best discovery hole. Who knows what happens after that? The assays will find out. But we've drilled 3 more holes since, and they've hit very nicely. We missed on one hole because it was hard ground. It took off like 40 meters over one way. But the other ones that went where we wanted them to, they have all hit. So whenever Ray and the boys pick a spot, boom, they hit. And that's typical. Our team is just that good. They know where to go, what to look for, and etc. And so what makes us stand out? We're the best discovery in a long time. So you should own a part of it. But this is all risk money. So it's not like we're buying bank dividend stocks. So people see that. This is a stock that can double and triple, also go down. You can't expect a chance to double and triple, not accept some risk on the way down.
Well, I think for us to make one prediction for 2023, we have our best exploration discovery award, which we give at our Mines and Money London Awards. I would probably put it as sort of like a reasonable bet on you to being on the short list and even being the sort of like victor. But it would be
our number. We've won it before, right?
Yeah, I know you have. So you could be our first 2 times sort of like winner. We are out of time, but I once again would like to kind of thank you for joining us on the show. That was Dev Randhawa, Chairman and CEO of Fission Zero. Thank you very much for your time, Dev.
Thank you so much for having me, Andrew. And I hope we get to hold the trophy again next year.
Thank you very much.